All right, compensator sprocket nut requires that the nut be tightened to around 155 to 165 pounds. My wrench only goes up to around 150, so I'm going to start at, that's 120. Let's say that's 150. And I'm just going to go ahead and see where it'll turn to. Alrighty. Let's see if we can get it all the way over. Let's see what happens there. Okay. It's on my socket, on my wrench. That's over the 150 pound mark. Maybe around 160. Alright. Go for it one more time. Make sure it's set up. Alright, compensator nut is on. Again, I used a piece of flooring, some wood flooring I had. We'll deal with the primary chain in a few minutes. Alright, again, make sure when you do the installation, don't do what I did. Make sure the chain is up nice and tight when you get it in and clearing the case, not sagging behind the case and the wheel and the sprocket. And then setting your nut in a little bit. You will scratch the case. I scratched my case a little bit. I'll take a small piece of emery and lightly sand that little indentation. Very, very lightly sand it. Just touch it. Okay. We will work on the sprocket, the nut for the clutch basket next, and we'll come up with torques in just a minute. We'll continue. Alright, this is the clutch hub main shaft nut we're going for. The specs on this for tightening are between 70 and 80 pounds. I think I'm set up for about 65. Start at 65 and move up. Okay. I most likely have gone just over that now. Let's see, 70. I'm going to just crank it up a little bit, say to what looks to be 80 here. I set it to 80 and then I just wrenched it. Alright. That's actually, is it 80? What is it? Yeah. That's a solid 80 pounds on that. Alright. Front set up to between right around 155, 165. Clutch assembly at around 80. Top end is says in the manual 80. Alright. We will continue with the primary adjuster. What I'm doing is I'm just letting the shoe go forward. Just taking this wedge, pushing it back on the spring. Be gentle, be cautious. Setting it back up here. Hold it down. Reset the shoe down on top of the wedge. As you can see, it wants to walk. It really wants to get around. It's most likely out of alignment. It is. It's out of alignment. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now at this point, the shoe is reset back. The shoe here is reset back to its full position. I'm going to go ahead and put a zip tie on it. To hold it. Not too tight. Oh, okay, maybe a little tighter. Alright, so now this can be put into the bike. I'm reusing the bolts. They do have a Loc-tite material on them. Knock a little bit of that out. And see if there's I'm sure there's a spec on the adjuster. Yes. Okay, let's see. Install tensioner into the place, install the chain tensioner fasteners, and tighten to 15 to 19 foot-pounds. 15 to 19. Blue Loc-tite for these, heading into the inner primary case. Alright. Those are set up, ready to go. I'm just going to go ahead and slide the shoe in with the zip tie right on it. Look for my flashlight. Set up the one of these screws. I'm going to set up the rear screw first. Okay, it just touches down. Then I'm going to set up for the second screw. And it did say set for what was it again? 15 to 19 pounds. Again, I think this is set for around 20, maybe around 20. My hands are slippery and all right, great. Go back and forth between your using the extensions a little long, but okay, there's 20 pounds. Take the zip tie off and it will spring load. I want to hold it down a little bit. Oh, okay. The shoe is automatically adjusting. If I just take it a little bit, the shoe will adjust itself automatically. Okay. All right, to start, that'll be all right to start. Last few steps here are to get the inner outer primary on. Again, I do need to sand that a little bit. Let's just take a quick peek at what happened there. Alright, again, as you're mounting this in, as you're mounting the compensator and clutch basket into place, the adjuster is not in. And you don't necessarily, well, maybe you could have had it in. Had it been zip tied down, that may have been the more appropriate way to do it. But nonetheless, it wasn't in, and the chain itself was sagging a little bit, and then I put the bolt in and just hand tightened it. Then I put a socket on it and just snugged it. And what ended up happening here is this chain was just sagging, and it went ahead and put a slight indent. As you can see, that's where the chain was when I snugged that just gently, and it was thankfully only just a pound or two. But it's aluminum. Alright, here we are. We're installing the pressure gee, I'm not sure of the name of this. It's the plate that the clutch adjustment screws into. Clutch adjustment screw plate, maybe. I can't quite recall the name. There is a out. It says out which way goes out, so we're going to install that as such. There is a rod that goes through, but that doesn't need to go on now. Press that into place. You'll see the ring for which the O-ring, which I already have set up. Let me just make sure I'm not. Yes, I'm good. Take the O-ring. Okay. Where we're at is having put in the plate, the clutch adjustment rod plate, and the snap ring went in. I'm now inserting the clutch push rod into the inset here, and go ahead, I'll back this out a little bit. Again, just put that in and start turning it inside. Again, at this point you're going for a standard clutch adjustment. Yeah, 11/16. Alright. So again, one more time. I use a offset box for that. Again, if I turn this in, it should stop right at that. There we go. Just feel it snugging right there. Boom, snug. Turn it back a half. Hold it and just snug that nut. Snug that nut up, and that's it. That's an adjustment. That's an adjustment like you would make with the outer primary actually installed. With that, that assembly's done. These alignment lugs are in place. A couple of places here. These alignment pins are on. Oh, there we go. These pins also hold that gasket on. Alright, these little pins here hold the gasket on, and we will go ahead and start the final process for getting this together. This job is done. The inside is done. Everything's buttoned up. Matter of fact, now's a good time, folks, to put in your primary drain plug. Go ahead and get that in, because as soon as you pour in your primary oil, if you haven't done this part, it's all over the place. Alright, I don't know what size socket that is. That looks to be, oh, there it is. Okay, that's a 5/8. 5/8 on the primary drain plug. Okay, we will continue with the assembly and go from there. Alright, we'll continue. Alright, we're installing the outer primary. I've gone ahead and prepped. I've also just hit the little indentation I made with the chain when I put it on and snugged that a little bit. I've also cleaned this edge, the gasket itself, checked it for any debris, sand and things like this. I've pre-prepped all of my screws, which I have here on the floor. Got a bunch of screws here just pre-prepped and ready to go. I'll start hanging from the top, and I won't bolt from the bottom with having this kind of leverage down. I'll start hanging it from the top. And again, there are alignment pins that will guide me to getting this on nice and snug. Okay. There's also a pattern to putting together. There's the first one, and there's the second. Alright, there is a pattern to the tightening, and I should have really spent some time cleaning these areas here. But as I will be doing this job again very soon, that is not Alright, these are the long ones, and they go on the very forefront, top and bottom screw holes. I'm going to set up a couple of those real quick. These long shaft Allen sockets are actually really good thing. Consider them. Alright, continuing with the inner primary installation. I'm sorry, outer primary installation. There is a pattern for bolting up the outer primary, as there would be for the inner primary, starting on the lowest, lower, second to the lowest right side. It's 1, 2, and moving to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Back up to the right side, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So it starts in the center and works its way out, and that's always the way you want to go ahead and do that. With that being the case, I've set myself up for, I think, what am I at, like 9 pounds, 8, 9 pounds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see, we went, that was 9. Bottom here, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And I did reuse the gasket, but we'll see what happens. Alright, with the outer primary on and the outer clutch adjustment cover open, we're going to go ahead and put clutch oil in. I have put in my plug on the bottom. The primary plug is installed, so do remember that before you get started here. Okay, we'll continue. Yeah, I'll turn it just a little bit. Make sure there's nothing that's going to carry over. Matter of fact, what I'll do is put it like so and run a bolt through. Just to hang it on. Okay. Once you get it hung up, go ahead and install another couple. This is a Torx 27. I don't know if there's a torque value on this. I can't recall off the top of my head. I know if there is one, it's certainly not a lot. A few pounds. I'm going to go ahead and mount this to a I didn't install any Loc-tite on these. All right, wrap it up and we will continue.